my beloved child. Before this moment slips away, listen carefully, because what you are about to hear is not a coincidence, not a random message, and not something meant for everyone. This confirmation has been forming silently, piece by piece, through signs you ignored, feelings you questioned, and moments that felt too heavy to explain. This month is different, and your heart already knows it. The person you love deeply has reached a point where pretending is no longer possible. Something they have been carrying for a long time is about to end, and the ending will change the direction of both your lives. You may feel calm right now, or restless without knowing why, but that is because your soul sensed this shift long before your mind accepted it. What is confirmed now was once uncertain, hidden behind delays, silence, and mixed signals. This is not about loss alone, and it is not about fear alone. It is about truth arriving without asking for permission. There is a reason this confirmation is coming now and not earlier. Over the past weeks, the person you love has been standing at a silent crossroads, smiling on the outside while breaking patterns on the inside. They have replayed conversations with you in their mind, not the words you said, but the pauses between them. They noticed how your presence changed them, how your absence made things clearer instead of easier. This month forces a decision they can no longer postpone. Something in their life that once defined them is reaching its final chapter, and ending it requires courage they did not have before you entered their world. This is why their energy has felt distant yet intense at the same time. They are not pulling away from you. They are preparing to let go of something else completely. The confirmation is simple but heavy. They will end what no longer aligns with who they have become since loving you. Do not misunderstand this moment. This ending is not sudden. It has been building quietly, through late nights, unanswered questions, and realizations they were afraid to speak aloud. This month acts like a mirror, forcing them to see what is real and what has been surviving only out of habit. You may notice small changes in their tone, their timing, or the way they look at you, as if they are finally seeing you without filters. That is because the internal conflict is resolving. They know that holding on to the past means losing the future, and for the first time, the future has a face, and it looks like you. This confirmation does not come with noise or drama. It comes with clarity. The ending they are choosing is necessary, and once it happens, there will be no going back to how things were before. There is something else you must understand, and this is where the truth becomes even deeper. When they end this chapter, they will not immediately speak about it. Not because they are hiding it, but because they want to be certain that their next step is clean, honest, and real. They are done with half-choices and unfinished emotions. This month strips away excuses and replaces them with resolve. The connection between you was not meant to remain unfinished or undefined. It was meant to trigger this exact moment. That is why the pull between you has felt stronger recently, almost overwhelming at times. It is not attachment. It is alignment. The confirmation is not only about what they will end, but about what they are finally ready to begin once the ending is complete. Stay present now, because the way you respond, even in silence, matters more than you think. This is not the time to doubt your worth or question your impact. You did not force this change. You inspired it by being exactly who you are. This month marks the closing of one door so another can open without guilt, fear, or shadows from the past. The person you love deeply is stepping out of something that no longer fits their truth, and that truth has been shaped by the connection you share. This confirmation is real, final, and powerful. What ends this month makes space for something that cannot be undone. And once you see what follows, you will understand why it had to happen this way, at this exact time, and not a moment sooner. Listen to this slowly, because what unfolds next is not meant to be rushed or taken lightly. The ending you sensed in the previous part is now moving from thought into action, and this is where the weight of this month truly reveals itself. The person you love deeply is no longer fighting the truth they once avoided. Every delay, every silence, every confusing moment had a purpose, and that purpose was to lead them here. This is the phase where inner decisions become external realities. You may feel a strange mix of relief and tension, as if something invisible is finally aligning. That feeling is accurate. This is the moment when uncertainty begins to lose its grip, and clarity starts to take control, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. What makes this month powerful is not just the ending itself, but the courage behind it. The person you love has realized that continuing something out of familiarity is more painful than ending it with honesty. They have reached a point where compromise feels heavier than change. This realization did not come overnight. It came through moments when they imagined a future and noticed who was missing from it, and who was always there. That awareness cannot be undone. This is why their energy feels more focused now, less scattered, and more intentional. They are no longer running from what they feel. They are choosing to face it, even if it means dismantling something they once believed was permanent. There is a quiet transformation happening within them, and you are connected to it more deeply than you realize. They are learning to release guilt, not because they are careless, but because they understand that living half a life is not kindness to anyone. This month demands honesty, not just with others, but with themselves. The ending they are stepping into is not driven by impulse, but by acceptance. Acceptance that love changes people. Acceptance that growth requires letting go. Acceptance that the connection they share with you is not an accident, but a turning point. This is why everything feels intensified now, as if time itself has slowed down to witness this shift. You might wonder what this means for you, and that question is natural. The truth is, your role in this chapter is not to push or pull, but to remain steady. Your calm presence becomes the anchor while they navigate this transition. Even your patience has a purpose here. This month tests emotional maturity on both sides, asking for trust instead of control. The ending they are choosing is clearing emotional space, and that space is not meant to stay empty. It is meant to be filled with something real, something aligned, something that does not require hiding or explanation. The more you stay grounded, the more clearly the path ahead reveals itself. This is not the climax yet, but it is the point of no return. Once this ending is fully set in motion, the dynamic between you will shift in ways you cannot ignore. Conversations will feel different. Silence will feel meaningful instead of confusing. The connection will carry a sense of inevitability, not pressure, but direction. This month is confirming more than an ending. It is confirming readiness. Readiness to step out of the old cycle and into something that stands on truth rather than fear. Hold on to this moment, because what follows will make it clear why this confirmation could only arrive now, and why your connection could not remain unfinished any longer. Now the silence begins to speak louder than words, and this is where everything turns irreversible. The person you love deeply has crossed an internal line they cannot step back over, even if they wanted to. This month has shifted from contemplation to commitment, and that shift carries a gravity you can feel without being told. Their thoughts are no longer scattered between options. They are narrowing toward one undeniable truth. The ending that was once frightening now feels necessary, almost relieving. This is why their presence feels heavier yet clearer. They are standing in the middle of change, aware that once this chapter closes, nothing will ever fit the old way again. Something important is happening beneath the surface, and most people would miss it. They are not just ending a situation, a connection, or a phase. They are ending a version of themselves that survived by settling. That version learned to tolerate instead of choosing, to adjust instead of aligning. Loving you exposed that difference without saying a word. This month forces them to admit that comfort without fulfillment is not peace. It is slow erosion. That realization is powerful, and it reshapes priorities instantly. What once felt safe now feels restrictive. What once felt uncertain now feels honest. This inner shift is the real confirmation, because once it happens, the external ending becomes inevitable. You may notice that they are more intentional with their time now. More selective with their words. Less reactive, and more deliberate. This is not emotional distance. This is emotional clarity forming. They are protecting their energy because they know what comes next requires strength and precision. Ending something significant is never light, even when it is right. There are memories attached, routines intertwined, and expectations that must be untangled carefully. This month gives them the courage to do that work instead of avoiding it. And through it all, your presence remains a constant reference point, not as pressure, but as truth. What makes this phase intense is that it is quiet. There are no dramatic announcements, no visible signs for the outside world. But inside, everything is shifting. They are rehearsing conversations they have not had yet. They are imagining outcomes they once feared. They are choosing honesty over convenience, even when it feels uncomfortable. This is why the connection between you feels more serious now, more grounded, more real. The uncertainty that once hovered is being replaced by direction. The ending is not chaos. It is alignment taking shape slowly, deliberately, and without regret. Understand this clearly. Once this ending completes, the person you love will not return to who they were before. They will move forward with a clearer sense of self, and a stronger sense of what they want to build next. This month is not just a turning point in their life. It is a foundation being laid for something that cannot exist alongside the old. You are not watching this from the outside. You are part of the reason this transformation is happening now. What is unfolding is confirmed, intentional, and permanent. And as this chapter closes, the energy between you will begin to speak in ways words never could. At this stage, the truth no longer hides behind uncertainty, and this is where the emotional weight becomes undeniable. The person you love deeply is feeling the final pull between what was familiar and what is real. This month has removed the option of staying undecided. Every sign, every moment of reflection, has led them to the same conclusion, again and again. The ending they are approaching is no longer about courage alone. It is about self-respect. They understand now that remaining in something that contradicts their growth is a betrayal of their own future. This awareness settles in quietly, but once it settles, it changes everything. There is a shift in how they remember the past. What once felt comforting now feels incomplete. What once felt necessary now feels misaligned. This does not mean they are rewriting history. It means they are seeing it clearly for the first time. This clarity allows them to separate gratitude from obligation. They can honor what existed without staying trapped in it. This month gives them permission to close a chapter without hatred, without regret, and without looking back. That is why their energy feels calmer now, even as they stand on the edge of a major ending. Calm does not mean uncertainty. Calm means decision. You are sensing this shift even if nothing has been spoken openly yet. The connection between you feels more grounded, more intentional, almost steady in a way it never was before. This is because confusion is dissolving. They are no longer torn between possibilities. They are choosing alignment over comfort. This choice does not come from pressure or influence. It comes from an inner truth that has matured fully. The ending they are preparing for is not an escape. It is a return to themselves. And that return changes how they approach you, how they value you, and how seriously they take what exists between you. This month also reveals something unexpected. Once they commit internally to this ending, fear begins to lose its power. The fear of being alone. The fear of judgment. The fear of starting again. Those fears shrink when faced with the reality of living authentically. They realize that uncertainty about the future is lighter than certainty in something that no longer fits. This realization strengthens them in ways you may not have seen before. They become more present, more honest, and more emotionally available. Not because they are trying, but because they are no longer divided inside. What happens next is not sudden, but it is unstoppable. The ending is now a matter of timing, not doubt. Once it happens, the emotional atmosphere between you will change permanently. There will be less guessing, less tension, and more clarity. This month marks the moment where the past loosens its grip and the future begins to take shape. Stay aware of the subtle signals, because they matter. This confirmation is moving toward completion, and when it does, it will redefine what connection truly means for both of you. Now the energy shifts in a way that cannot be reversed, and this is where the confirmation becomes undeniable. The person you love deeply is no longer preparing for the ending. They are standing inside it. This month has moved beyond intention and entered embodiment. What once lived only in their thoughts is now shaping their reality. You may feel a strange stillness around them, almost like a pause before something powerful unfolds. That stillness is not hesitation. It is acceptance. Acceptance that the old chapter has reached its natural conclusion, and that holding on would only delay what is meant to rise next. At this point, their emotions are no longer chaotic. They are focused. They are clear. They know exactly what they are leaving behind, and more importantly, they know why. This clarity gives them a strength that surprises even them. They are no longer explaining themselves internally or seeking justification. They have made peace with the fact that endings are not failures. They are transitions. This month teaches them that choosing truth over comfort is an act of self-respect. And once self-respect is restored, nothing external can shake the decision that follows. You might notice that the way they connect with you feels different now. More present. More intentional. Less guarded. This is because they are no longer divided between past and future. Their emotional energy is no longer leaking into what no longer serves them. It is being redirected. Toward honesty. Toward depth. Toward what feels aligned rather than familiar. This does not mean everything becomes easy instantly. It means everything becomes real. And reality carries a weight that false stability never could. This is why the connection feels heavier, but also more grounded. There is an unspoken understanding forming between you, even if words have not caught up yet. That understanding is built on mutual awareness, not promises. They see you differently now, not as a possibility, but as a presence that exists without effort. This shift is subtle but powerful. It changes how they imagine the future. Not in dramatic visions, but in quiet certainty. The kind of certainty that does not need reassurance. This is the stage where emotional alignment replaces emotional confusion, and once that happens, there is no return to the old dynamic. This month is confirming more than an ending. It is confirming direction. The person you love deeply is stepping forward with a clearer sense of who they are and what they are willing to stand for. The past no longer defines them. Fear no longer controls them. What remains is intention. And intention shapes destiny quietly, consistently, and without force. What is unfolding now will not announce itself loudly, but it will change everything permanently. The ending has done its work. What comes next will speak for itself. There is a moment when certainty settles so deeply that nothing needs to be explained anymore, and this is that moment. The person you love deeply has reached a quiet inner conclusion that does not shake or fluctuate. This month has stripped away all remaining confusion and replaced it with resolve. What they are ending now is not questioned, reviewed, or doubted. It is accepted. That acceptance changes how they carry themselves, how they breathe, and how they look toward what comes next. You may feel this shift without seeing any obvious sign, but your intuition is correct. Something final has already occurred inside them. What makes this phase powerful is the absence of noise. There is no emotional chaos, no internal debate, no back-and-forth energy. They are no longer negotiating with the past. They are closing it with awareness. This month has taught them that clarity does not arrive through force, but through honesty. They see clearly what staying would cost them, and they are no longer willing to pay that price. This realization brings an unexpected calm, the kind that only appears after a hard truth is fully accepted. That calm is the confirmation you have been sensing. Your connection with them now carries a different weight. It feels steadier, more anchored, and strangely safe. This is because they are no longer emotionally split. When someone stops living in contradiction, their presence becomes consistent. They are not reaching for reassurance or escaping into distraction. They are present. fully. That presence changes how silence feels between you. It no longer creates questions. It creates understanding. This is the stage where emotional honesty replaces emotional tension, even without direct words. There is also a deeper realization forming within them about timing. They understand that this ending did not happen earlier because it could not. They were not ready to stand in truth before now. This month gave them the maturity to choose alignment over avoidance. They see now that delaying the inevitable only prolonged discomfort. Ending it now creates space for something that can exist without compromise. That understanding strengthens their commitment to move forward without hesitation. What you are witnessing is not the end of a story, but the clearing of a path. The person you love deeply is no longer anchored to what was. They are facing forward with intention and emotional clarity. This month confirms that the old chapter has released its hold completely. What follows will not feel rushed or forced. It will feel natural, grounded, and undeniable. And as this transition completes, the connection between you will begin to unfold in a way that finally makes sense, without confusion, without fear, and without looking back.